Why is Angron my number one Uber Chad favorite character all time Warhammer? Interesting question. What's up, guys? It's Connor, and I don't have anything planned right now, so consider this a filler video while I'm still reading through Ahriman and all my other books, because I just finished Caiaphas Cain, Hero of the Imperium, and it was okay. I'll be honest. I might ruffle some feathers by saying this, but it was I feel like now that I've read one Caiaphas Cain book, I'm sure the others are going to remotely follow the same exact formula. And I'm sure it's a formula that works, but it didn't really pique my interest. So I might make a video on that. But other than that, we're gonna go real intellectual style video. That's right. We're gonna talk about my three favorite characters and three least favorite characters from Warhammer. So let's get into it. And before I get into the rankings, just want to say, guys, I'm not using some uber complex way of ranking them. Like I'm just ranking them because I think they're cool. That's it. I think they're badass and they're cool. And that's it. There's no rhyme or reason and there's no deeper meaning. So don't take it too personally if your boy does not mention your favorite character. That being said, I do want to hear your favorite character. So if you want to drop them in the comments down below, please feel free. I love hearing other people's their favorite characters and whatnot. So number three would be Fabius Bile, and Fabius is just super cool because I was never into the big evil science character. It was never my thing growing up. Like when I looked to villains, I was always a big muscle head, and I always liked like these ginormous like the brutes and the tank archetype. These badass dudes who can just basically break like buildings with their fists. But as I've gotten older and I'm trying to consume more and more novels, Fabius Bile is not only super smart, he's also kind of funny in his own really weird, twisted way with how he interacts with people. And he's just kind of warmed his way up into my top of the top when it comes to Warhammer because he's just. I don't think you're ever going to find a boring Fabius Bile book or short story. They may be at the worst okay, but something interesting is always usually going on with Fabius Bile. So number two, if you couldn't guess by the icon that is on my channel, that's like the circle. It's Karn. Karn is awesome, and although I haven't read Red Angel, I haven't read really anything remotely with them besides Renegades of the Long War, which is a really good book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Karn is just a badass, and it's really interesting because I read Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, and I got to see some pre-corruption, pre-Korn Karn and his interactions with Garviel Loken. Really interesting stuff, and he's an interesting character, and I think a lot of people dumb him down in current setting to this dumb brute who just is very murderous. And I think it's 50% true, but 50% also you have to realize he still has the ability to create strategies and tactics. He's just also the personification of like a giant murder hobo brought into this science fantasy setting. So, he doesn't have to be characters don't have to be horribly complex for them to be appealing. And Karn is one of those characters where he is complex, but he's also not super complex to the point where you have people maybe like doing full 3-hour video essays on how he's misunderstood. He's not misunderstood. The dude's pretty linear in how he approaches, blood for the blood god esque activities. Before we get to my number one, I want to put in some honorable mentions. Garvio Loken is who by far is just the chattiest dude in the book so far, in most of the books that I've read with the Horus Heresy. He's just so cool, dude. He really is. Tariq Torgadon, because he just is like the most. He's a space marine who probably I would say right now has the most personality out of all the books I've consumed, and that's probably under 10 right now. It's about to reach 10 or 12, but well, if we're counting audiobooks, I take that back. I'm probably around 20 books, 25 books, but still. Tariq Torgan is a jokester and he's funny and he's a brother, like a true and tried friend to Garviel Loken. Sorry, I just kind of blinked there, but he's a character who I think needs a little bit more. He doesn't get talked about enough, but that's also because the Horus Heresy happened oh so long ago, and these characters aren't necessarily important right now. But that doesn't mean anything to me. Luther. Luther is really cool to me actually, and I'm thinking of making a long form video on him. But when I was reading Descent of the Angels, which is, by the way, I have a video. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. I put a lot of effort into that, and I would appreciate if you just watched it and tell me what you thought of it. Luther's cool. Luther is genuinely a realistic character. He's someone who's overshadowed by these expectations he's put upon himself to compare himself to someone who's not even human. And it's just I understand that because when you think of the First Legion, a lot of people think secrecy, and that's accurate. But the the first also has this thing where they put expectations on themselves and others, and once you achieve great success, that now becomes the new standard, and that really coincides with like the third and most other Space Marine legions. They are all about these standards, and Luther is human. He's not a Space Marine, and he has to deal with all these people who he saw in the Knightly Order of Caliban are now so much stronger than him and really are smarter than him in some aspects because their geology, they're enhanced, their genetic makeup is of legend essentially, and he's a great character. I really can't stress it enough. I can't wait to read Luther First to the Fallen and more Dark Angel stuff. Like seriously, and think we'll do one last final, honorary mention, and it's kind of a tie because I don't know if I would include Zahariel and Nemiel in there, but I really liked both of them, and I was kind of sad to find out that I predicted that Nemiel would somehow be a traitor and Zahariel wouldn't, but then I accidentally looked up Zahariel's name. Well, not by accident. I was confused on something and I just wanted to know. And then I saw, the wiki pop up and what happened to Zahariel, and I looked up and apparently he's a traitor. I don't know if that's true, but it probably is if the fucking wiki's telling me. But I just they were really cool. I like their dynamic. They're cousins, and they just are always pushing each other, and they act as really cool foils towards each other. So number one, my favorite of all time, it's Angron. I love Angron. I love the World Eaters. Angron is just so morose and beautifully tragic, and that is something I enjoy when I like broken and tragic characters. I like Conrad Kurtz. I like all of them. I like Fulgrim, but I'm not like huge on Fulgrim. But you know, that's all I'm gonna say. Angron's just the best. That's just me being completely 100% biased. I don't care. That is just how it goes. So now let's hop into my three least favorite. And this is kind of hard because I usually when I read I enjoy a lot of characters, but let's see. Eisenhorn, yeah, Gregor Eisenhorn. I tried reading this, and it's not like the book's bad. It's just I unfortunately could not find the appeal to it. I found Gregor to be boring. I found all of it to be boring. I know there's a demon that comes up and he really likes Gregor, and it's all, oh, Gregor, you're so strong, it scares me, or something of that nature. I didn't like it. So, I know a lot of people did, and I'm glad they do, but I really did not. So, number two is going to be hard again, too. So, if I'm thinking of characters who I really had a disdain for, it would be interesting because most people would assume Erebus would be on here. He's not. I actually quite enjoy Erebus's character. I love bastards, and he's the personification of bastards. So, number two, who do I really dislike? I don't like Lehman Russ, but that's like And I'll tell you why. I haven't read any Space Wolf stuff, and I know a lot of people are probably gonna see this and they'll be like, "Well, Connor, you actually need to read the stuff before you form an opinion on that." You're right, but unfortunately, this is my video, so who's really in the right here? It's just a thing. I don't like him. I think there's a really good quote that someone, I don't know if it's from a book or if someone online has said it. Lehman Russ is like a man pretending to be a savage, and the lion is a savage pretending to be a man. The lion is just more interesting, and I feel like the lion is a better version of Lehman Russ. And oh man, my number one most hated is difficult because it's like I don't really have a number one, so I'll throw in someone who I'm not the hugest fan of altogether, and it's probably going to be Cor Farron. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. So again, I know nothing about Cor Farron other than baseline lexicanum and like basic level Horus Heresy lore. But he just is like there's something so like weird, and he makes me uncomfortable from what I've read, and it's I don't really get uncomfortable when I read media or even watch TV shows where things are supposed to be disturbing because I can different. I'm aware that it's fantasy, but with Cor Farron, he just exhibits some really nasty traits that you realistically could probably see in people, and it makes my skin crawl. I'm not embarrassed to say it. There are some qualities in Cor Farron that make me genuinely uncomfortable, and I don't like him at all. And Erebus is a better character, which is that really saying a lot when they're both scumbags who are the worst people in the galaxy? But anywho, I know this wasn't the most, you know, detailed list of why I love and hate these characters, but this is just a fun little video I wanted to make. So, that being said, guys, again, as I said earlier in the video, let me know. Don't be afraid to comment. I love this character because of this, or I hate this character because of this, or even mine. You can be like, you know, Angron is number one, dude. You can definitely switch that out for this character. I'd love to hear what you guys say all the time. So please, if you want to talk about your characters, please go crazy in the comments. Other than that, guys, if you like the video, I appreciate it. If you like the video so much you want to stick around, subscribe. Appreciate that even more. Other than that, guys, I am out of here.